I still remember the moment I saw the hotel room keys. It was like my stomach had dropped into my shoes and everything else blurred out. I was going through her purse in a rush, just a quick check or so I told myself, because something felt off that morning. Her lipstick was smudged in a weird way, and her perfume smelled different, like she'd been somewhere else, someone else. I wasn't suspicious at first, just confused. Then I noticed the keys tucked between her makeup and that crumpled receipt she'd thrown in there without thinking. The keys were small, shiny, and unassuming, nothing fancy, but I knew immediately they weren't hers. The room number on the tag was engraved in my mind, 307. I stared at them, my fingers trembled. My whole body felt numb, but my mind raced. How could she? The night before our wedding, no less. I had trusted her more than anyone. We'd been planning this day for over a year, and I was supposed to be the luckiest guy alive. I kept the keys in my palm like a bomb, knowing I needed time to process, but my mind was already spinning. I remember feeling the heat of anger rise up inside me, hot and bitter, like I'd swallowed a cup of coffee gone cold. I wanted to smash everything, but I knew that wouldn't help. Instead, I stuffed the keys deeper into my pocket and kept my cool. I had to think, had to plan. Later that day, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the wall. The evidence was right there in my hand, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she'd been lying to me for weeks. The signs had been subtle, but I'd ignored them. The late nights, the vague excuses, the way she'd dodge my questions. I told myself I was overthinking, but now I knew better. That night I couldn't sleep. My stomach was in knots. I kept replaying every moment, every smile, every touch she'd given me. It all felt hollow now. I wanted to confront her, but I also knew I needed a plan. I wasn't about to let her get away with this betrayal, not without paying a price. I decided I'd find out the truth before I said anything. Something about her reactions, her stories, she was too good at hiding things. I had to catch her in the act, but I also knew I couldn't do this blindly. I needed leverage, evidence, something irrefutable. That's when I started mapping out my revenge. Not the kind where I burn her stuff or scream at her. No, I wanted her to feel the same sting I did, maybe even worse. The first step was confirming what I already suspected, that she was cheating on me with my best man. I had a few leads, and I knew I'd find out the truth soon enough. The hotel keys just sealed the deal. I could feel the anger simmering in my chest, but I kept it under control, for now. That evening I emailed the hotel, pretending to be her, asking for details about her stay. I kept my tone casual, but inside I was already planning what to do once I had everything. The truth was going to come out one way or another, and when it did, she'd regret every moment she thought she could get away with this. I looked over at the keys again, cold sweat prickling my neck. Whatever came next, I knew she'd never see it coming. She thought she was so clever, so invincible. But I was done playing nice. She was about to find out just how far I was willing to go. All I had to do now was wait. The next morning, I couldn't sit still. My mind kept circling back to those keys, the image of her face when I confronted her, the look in her eyes like she thought she was untouchable. I had my phone in my hand, already dialed the hotel to get the details, but I hesitated. Part of me wanted to hear her voice, to catch her in a lie. The other part knew I needed to be careful, calculated. When the receptionist answered, I kept my voice light. "Hi, I'm looking for information about a recent guest. She checked out yesterday. Her name is Lisa. Can you tell me if she left any messages or if her room was involved in anything suspicious?" There was a brief pause on the line, then a murmur of paperwork. "Yes, Mr. Johnson," I supplied quickly. "That's my wife. I just want to confirm she was there." Mrs. Johnson checked out yesterday around noon. She appeared normal, no issues reported. But I did notice she left her room key on the desk. "Would you like me to send you the details?" My heart hammered. Yes, please, and any other information. Was she alone? She was with a man, a guest named Mark. From what I saw, they checked in separately but left together. That clinched it. I clenched my jaw, feeling the knot tighten in my stomach. The evidence was stacking up. My wife wasn't just lying to me, she was actively sneaking around with my best man. I hung up and looked around my apartment, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. But I also felt a strange sense of clarity. No more hiding, no more pretending I didn't know. I needed proof that wouldn't just be words. I decided I'd confront her tonight, but first I had to set the stage. I wasn't just going to yell and accuse. No, I was planning something more precise. I'd catch her in the act, make her confess, and then I'd make her regret every single lie. I started drafting a text message to her, short and cold. We need to talk tonight. Important. No reason, no explanations, just enough to make her nervous. I wanted her to think I knew everything, that I was ready to throw her to the wolves, because I was. That afternoon I took a walk to clear my head, but every step felt heavy. The air was thick with tension. I kept imagining her face when I confronted her, the way her eyes would flicker, the slight tremor in her voice. I wanted her to know I wasn't the fool she thought I was. By evening I had everything lined up. I'd find her at home, surprise her with the evidence, and let her sweat. I'd see what she really cared about me, or whatever lies she'd been feeding herself. I wasn't about to let her walk away unscathed. When she finally came through the door, I was already waiting, arms crossed, face cold. "We need to talk," I said, voice steady but tight. She looked surprised, maybe even a little nervous. "What's wrong?" I pulled the keys from my pocket and held them out. "This is what I found in your purse this morning. Care to explain why your hotel room key was hiding in there?" Her face paled. She froze for a second, cheeks flushing. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, really? Because I know you weren't alone last night. I got confirmation from the hotel you checked out with Mark, my best man, and your keys, they say enough." Her eyes darted away, but I saw it, the flicker of guilt, the shame. She tried to deny it, to cover her tracks, but the evidence was too clear. I felt my fists clench, anger bubbling up again. "You lied to me from the beginning," I said, voice low and dangerous. "All this time I was blind. You cheated on me with him. How long has this been going on?" She looked like she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Instead, she just stared, helpless. That's when I knew I had to lay everything out, show her I wasn't going to be played anymore. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "You're not just a liar, you're a coward. I never thought you sink so low. But don't think this is over. No, this is just the beginning." I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears as I laid out my plan. Confrontation was just the start. I wasn't interested in a heated argument or a crying apology. I wanted to make her feel the sting of betrayal, to see her realize just how badly I could hurt her in return. I'd been patient enough, now it was time to take control. "You think this is just about some hotel keys and a quick fling?" I asked, voice cold. "No, this is about respect, about trust. And you," I paused, voice rising slightly, "you've broken every single one of them. I'm not just going to leave this at a breakup. No, I want you to feel what I feel. I want you to see what it's like to lose everything because of your lies." Her eyes widened, but she didn't interrupt. I saw her swallow hard, trying to hold herself together. That made me angrier. She thought she could manipulate her way out, that her tears or excuses could save her. But I wasn't buying it. I reached into my bag and pulled out the small recording device I'd bought earlier that day. "I've been recording everything since I found the keys. Every word, every lie," I said, holding it out for her. "To see, you're not getting away with this, not on my watch." She looked panicked now, her hands trembling. "Please, I didn't mean for it to go this far. It was just one mistake one night." "One mistake," I cut her off sharply. "You lied to me for weeks, maybe months. You cheated on me with my best man, someone I trusted more than anyone, and you want me to believe it. Just one mistake." Her voice cracked. I was confused. I didn't mean for it to get out of control. I didn't think you'd find out." "Too late for that," I snapped. "Now I'm making sure you understand exactly what you've done." I paused, letting the silence hang. "I've got enough evidence here to make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are." I saw her face crumple. Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't flinch. I'd already decided what to do next. I'd give her one last chance to come clean, then I'd act. No more hiding my feelings or pretending I wasn't furious. "You've got two choices," I said slowly. "You can come clean, tell me everything, or I'll take what I have, this recording, the hotel info, and I'll make sure everyone knows how you've betrayed me." She looked at me, desperate. "I love you, please don't do this." "Love?" I scoffed. "Love is trust, and you threw it all away. You're lucky I don't just walk out right now." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the hotel confirmation sheet, showing her the details I'd gotten from the hotel. Her face turned ghostly pale. "You see, this is real. This isn't just some stupid mistake. It's proof you lied to me, cheated on me, and betrayed everything we built." She clutched her stomach as if she'd been punched. "I swear I'll fix this. I'll do anything, just don't ruin us over some stupid mistake." "Stupid? No," I said, voice flat. "This isn't a mistake, it's who you are." I hesitated for a second, but you know what? I think I've waited long enough. If you're not going to be honest with me now, I'll be honest with everyone else. Starting tomorrow, I'm making sure your little secret comes out." Her eyes filled with tears, and she finally broke down. "Please don't do this. I'll leave, I'll go away, just don't tell anyone, please." I looked her straight in the eyes, feeling the cold fire inside me. "You had your chance, now it's too late for apologies." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything I was about to do. But I can't stay with someone I can't trust, so this is my plan. I'm giving you 1 hour to pack your things and leave my apartment. And then I'm handing over the keys and this recording to my lawyer. You're done." She stared at me, trembling, voice trembling more. "You're really going to throw everything away for some stupid mistake?" I nodded. "Yes, because I deserve better than a liar." As she finally gathered her things, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. I'd taken control again, but at what cost? I knew the fallout would be messier than anything I'd ever faced. Still, I was done waiting, done pretending I didn't see the truth. I handed her the keys, still feeling the weight of the betrayal. "Goodbye, Lisa," I said, voice low but firm. "Don't come back." As she left, I stood there for a moment, watching her walk out the door, feeling the cold breeze hit my face. My hands still trembled with adrenaline. I knew one thing for sure: I'd never let anyone betray me like that again. And that night I finally slept a little better, knowing I'd taken back some control. But deep down, I also knew this was just the beginning of the mess I'd created. The fallout, the questions, the damage. But I also knew I wasn't going to let her ruin me anymore. Not a second longer. The days that followed were a blur of tense silence and restless nights. I played everything over and over in my mind, trying to make sense of what had happened and what I had to do next. The moment I handed her the keys and told her to leave, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. It was like I had finally grabbed control, but at the same time, I'd opened a door I might never be able to close again. I spent most of that evening staring at my phone, waiting for some reply, some sign that she would try to contact me or maybe even beg me to change my mind. But nothing came, just silence. That was worse than her crying, worse than her denial, knowing she was probably already planning her next move, or maybe she was just completely gone. I knew I had to confront the reality that this wasn't just about her cheating. It was about trust, betrayal, and the fact that I'd been blind for too long. I'd built a life around her, imagined a future, and now I had to figure out how to pick up the pieces. But I also knew I couldn't do it alone, not without some kind of plan. So I reached out to a lawyer first thing the next morning. I needed to get my ducks in a row, especially since I was planning to make the truth known to friends and family. I wasn't going to be the guy who got humiliated and kept silent. No, I was going to do this right. If she wanted to burn bridges, it was going to be on her. Within hours, I was sitting in a lawyer's office, spilling everything. I gave her the hotel receipts, the recordings, the text messages. I told her I wanted to protect myself and make sure I could prove everything if necessary. She nodded, calm and professional, and laid out my options. Filing for divorce, of course, was the first step. But more than that, I wanted to make sure everyone knew what kind of person Lisa was. That afternoon, I drafted a statement for close friends, family, anyone who mattered. I kept it straightforward. Lisa cheated on me with my best man. I discovered the truth just before our wedding, and I've decided to end things. I wanted to be honest, so I'm sharing the facts. I don't want anyone to be fooled by a pretty face or false promises. I knew that once people heard the truth, her image would crumble fast. That was the goal. I also made a list of all the people I needed to tell: mutual friends, her family, his family, even the wedding party. I didn't want any surprises, no hidden truths. If they found out from her, it would be even worse. I planned to send everything out first thing in the morning and then move forward with the divorce. But I wasn't done yet. I had a small part of me that still burned with fury. I wanted her to feel the full weight of what she'd done. I knew I couldn't fix what was broken, but I could make her regret ever crossing that line. That's when I decided I'd take one final step, something subtle but effective. That night, I took the hotel confirmation and the recordings I'd made, printed out copies, and went to her house. I left them on her doorstep along with a note. "You betrayed me. I hope you're happy with what you've done. Don't try to contact me." I didn't ring the doorbell. I just walked away, feeling the adrenaline rush again. There was something satisfying about leaving her a tangible reminder of her betrayal. I knew she'd see it in the morning. Maybe she'd try to reach out, maybe she'd spin a story, but I didn't care anymore. I'd done what I could. Now I was just waiting for her reaction. The best part, I didn't stick around to see her face. I just left, knowing I'd finally taken the first step toward moving on. I felt a strange sense of closure, even if it was just temporary. The truth was out there now, and she was on her own. As I drove away from her house, I realized I'd never felt quite so clear about what needed to happen next. It was a mess, no doubt, but at least I was the one controlling the narrative now. I wasn't going to let her or anyone else dictate my story anymore. I was done hiding, done pretending, and I was ready to rebuild, even if it meant starting from scratch. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks, knowing I'd done everything I could. The fallout was coming, sure, but I'd faced the storm head-on, and that felt like a victory in itself. The next few days were chaos, but I felt oddly detached from it all. I knew her reaction was coming, and I was preparing myself for the fallout. My phone was ringing off the hook, calls from friends, family, even her side. I didn't answer most of them. I didn't want to get caught up in the emotional mess. Instead, I kept my focus on the bigger picture: my divorce, my reputation, and what I needed to do to start healing. By that evening, I finally got a text from her. Short, trembling: "Please, let's talk. I love you. I didn't mean for it to happen." I read it once, then twice, feeling my jaw tighten. I knew it was a plea, a desperate attempt to hold on to what was left, but I also knew better. I had already decided what I was going to do. I wasn't going to be manipulated anymore. I responded with a single message: "It's too late. You lied, you cheated. I have everything documented. You ruined us, and I won't be part of it anymore." I didn't give her the chance to reply. I knew she'd try to gaslight me, or worse, try to spin it so I'd become the bad guy. But I was done playing her game. That night I sat alone on my couch, staring at the ceiling. I felt the weight of everything I'd lost, but also the faintest flicker of relief. I'd finally taken steps to free myself from her grip. I could breathe again, even if it hurt. The next day, I went to the lawyer's office. I wanted to file for divorce officially. We sat down, went through the paperwork, and I signed everything. As I handed over the documents, I looked her in the eyes for the last time. It was a cold, decisive moment. "Goodbye," I said quietly. "You made your choice. Now I make mine." I felt a strange sense of finality, like I'd closed a chapter I'd been dragging around for too long. It hurt, yeah, but I knew it was what I had to do. I was finally free from the web of lies she spun, and I could start rebuilding. Later that afternoon, I took one last walk around the apartment I'd shared with her. I packed up the things that mattered, nothing sentimental, just the essentials. I left the rest. I didn't look back as I closed the door behind me, feeling the cold handle in my hand. Walking away, I realized I made the right choice. The betrayal had cut deep, but it had also set me free. It was time to focus on myself, time to heal and move forward. As I drove away, a thought crossed my mind. I might have lost her, but I'd gained clarity. I knew now that I deserved honesty, respect, and someone who wouldn't betray me, and I would find that someday. Until then, I'd keep walking forward, no matter how hard it was. The key in the ignition felt heavy but right. I turned it, and the engine roared to life. I knew this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one where I finally took control, and I was ready for whatever came next. Looking back, I realized that the entire ordeal changed me more than I expected. I thought I was just ending a relationship, but what I really gained was clarity about what I deserve, about boundaries I shouldn't have crossed, and about the fact that I can survive betrayal. Walking away from her was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but also the most necessary. Sometimes, losing someone is the only way to find your own strength. In the days that followed, I focused on myself, getting rid of the remnants of her presence in my apartment, blocking her number, and avoiding her so-called friends. It hurt like hell, but I also felt a strange sense of liberation. I was finally free from her lies, her manipulation, her betrayal. The weight that had been crushing me for months suddenly felt lighter. I had to remind myself that I didn't owe her any explanations anymore. The keys, the recording, the divorce, all of it was my way of reclaiming my life. I handed over the keys to the lawyer, set everything in motion, and watched as the chaos she tried to ignite started to settle. I didn't need her validation or her apologies. I only needed to move on. A few weeks later, I met someone new, someone who showed me respect and honesty from the start. It was a slow process, but I learned to trust again, to open my heart without fear of being betrayed. It wasn't easy, and there were moments I still felt the sting of everything I'd lost. But each day I grew stronger. I stopped seeing her in every part of my life and started seeing myself again. Looking in the mirror now, I see someone who's been through hell but survived. The pain isn't gone, but it's faded into a lesson I won't forget. That betrayal, as painful as it was, taught me that my worth isn't tied to someone who doesn't see it, that I deserve truth, loyalty, and respect, without exceptions. So here's what I want to say to anyone going through something similar: trust your gut. Don't ignore the red flags. And when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. The pain might be unbearable at first, but it's also the catalyst for growth. Holding on to anger and betrayal only drags you down. You can choose to let go, cut ties, and reclaim your life. And if you find yourself in a situation where someone's betraying you, don't wait. Take control, set boundaries, and do whatever it takes to protect your peace. Because nobody is worth losing yourself over. The pain fades, but the lessons stay. And in the end, you'll emerge stronger, wiser, and ready to build a life based on honesty and respect. I handed the keys over to the lawyer, watched her face as the truth hit her, then walked away for good. That one simple act, deliberate, decisive, marked the beginning of a better chapter. I didn't just get revenge, I reclaimed myself. And that's what matters most.